On June 21, 1990, just months after his release from 27 years of imprisonment, Nelson Mandela walked into the City College of New York to face something unexpected. Not celebrations, but difficult questions. Over 1,000 people waited for answers. Cameras broadcast live across America. And what happened that night shocked many. Mandela didn't come to please. He came to tell the truth. This is the story of how a newly freed leader risked international support to keep his principles intact. Welcome to the most controversial town hall meeting in history. The first question was like a punch to the gut. A young African-American man stood up and challenged Mandela directly. How can you ask for support from the United States, one of the most racially divided countries in the world? The blood of our children stains the sidewalks of New York. Howard Beach. Bensonhurst. Our grandmothers, our mothers murdered. The question was clear. Does America have moral credibility to lead the fight against apartheid when its own racial record is so troubled? Silence filled the auditorium. All eyes turned to Mandela. His response revealed the diplomatic skill that had made him an effective negotiator even from behind bars. He began by acknowledging the warm welcome, admitting he might not be in the mood to think coolly after so much emotion. But then he established clear boundaries. The ANC condemns racism wherever it appears, he said. We are fighting a special kind of racism in our own country. But I am here primarily concerned with what the people of the United States and its organs of government are doing to promote the struggle against apartheid. He would not criticize American racial issues. He was sure the United States had produced competent leaders capable of handling their own affairs. This position of non-interference in other nations' internal affairs would become the central theme of the night. Ted Koppel, the moderator, asked if Mandela had support from Congress and President Bush. Mandela responded strategically. The president condemns apartheid as I do. That is enough for us to find common ground. Then came the crucial question. Why maintain economic sanctions when the South African government made unprecedented concessions, including Mandela's own release? Mandela's answer was unequivocal and powerful. He looked directly at Koppel and said, I should know better about this matter than you. No doubt, Koppel responded. Mandela explained that the ANC had been pressuring the government since 1986 to meet. Despite the humiliating and insulting conditions they tried to impose, the ANC had sufficient patience and commitment to peace to continue pushing. Negotiations finally began, but apartheid was still in place. The police are still killing our people as they have done over the years, Mandela declared. Vigilante groups are openly arming themselves to attack progressive organizations. The right wing is also arming itself and saying they will destroy the ANC. Some are calling for us to be hanged. Why would you think we should now relax our strategies? What has changed? This distinction between process and substance was crucial. The government agreed to talk, but granted no fundamental changes. Mandela would not accept symbolic gestures when the system of oppression remained intact. An attorney named Gloria Toot asked the question many Americans wanted answered. What economic system would the ANC pursue? Marxism, socialism, capitalism, or some combination? Mandela smiled. I knew that was the question you wanted to ask. The audience laughed. He praised her courage in asking directly. We are not concerned with models or labels, Mandela explained. We are practical men and women whose solutions are dictated by the actual conditions existing in our country. As somebody has said, we do not care whether the cat is black or white as long as it can catch mice. The crowd applauded enthusiastically. Mandela then illustrated the structural problem. A single company controlled more than 75% of shares quoted on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. The country's resources were monopolized by a white minority, and within that minority, by a few individuals. Meanwhile, the masses, especially blacks, remained poor, tormented by disease, illiteracy, without adequate educational facilities. We want to develop an economy that puts an end to this, he said. And we leave it to other people to put a label, if they so wish. It was pragmatism in its purest form. Results mattered more than ideology. Then came the moment that would define Mandela's entire American tour. Ken Adelman stood up with a question many considered inevitable. Those of us who share your struggle for human rights have been disappointed by the models you have held up since your release. You met 3 times with Yasser Arafat, praised Gaddafi, and said Cuba is head and shoulders above all other countries in human rights. The question cut deep. Are these your models of leadership? Would you want a Gaddafi, Arafat, or Castro as a future president of South Africa? The auditorium grew tense. This was the question that could destroy American support. Mandela didn't retreat an inch. One of the mistakes which some political analysts make is to think that their enemies should be our enemies. That we can never and will never do. Applause exploded in the audience. We are an independent organization with our own policy, Mandela continued. Our attitude towards any country is determined by that country's attitude towards our struggle. Yasser Arafat, Muammar Gaddafi, and Fidel Castro support our struggle to the hilt. There is no reason whatsoever why we should hesitate in hailing their commitment to human rights as they are being demanded in South Africa. They do not support us only in rhetoric, he added. They are placing resources at our disposal for us to win this fight. The answer was clear, defiant, and completely uncompromising. Mandela chose principles over political convenience. And it was at this explosive moment that the night really began to heat up. Mandela's response about his controversial allies provoked immediate reactions, including from Jewish leaders concerned about his statements on the PLO and Arafat. What happened next? How did Mandela defend his position on Israel and Palestine? And how did he respond to accusations of being amoral in his political alliances? You need to watch part 2 of this incredible story to discover how this debate unfolded and why Mandela's words remain relevant today. If you're enjoying this historical content, leave your like now. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss part 2, which will be published soon. Share this video with someone who needs to know this fascinating story of courage and principles. In the comments, tell me, do you agree with Mandela's approach? Should principles always come before political convenience? Leave your opinion below. Thank you for watching. I wish you a great day, and I'll see you in the next part of this extraordinary historical journey.